Okay, hey, we're gonna make some potato soup today. It's a recipe that, well, I really don't have a recipe for it. I just wing it. Kind of took my grandmother's recipe and tweaked it a bit. But I use the gold potatoes or the yellow potatoes. They are less starchy and they seem to just make it better. I've tried red potatoes, Idaho potatoes. Yeah, I've tried it all. And I really like the gold potatoes the best. I'm going to go over the ingredients that I use. Most of the time I use sea salt, just because it has less sodium. Salt and black pepper, and I grind my pepper. I put bacon bits, the bacon pieces in this, and you can use the Oscar Mayer brand. Publix brand is cheaper. This is my preferred grocery store here. And it tastes just the same. Then I'm going to use some garlic powder, cream of chicken soup, cream of mushroom soup, some chicken broth, and it doesn't matter what brand you buy. I'll mix it up. I buy the Swanson if it's on sale. If the Progressive is on sale, I buy it. Or if the, I forget, College Inn, whatever the other brand is, because Publix will buy it or have it BOGO. And I use the minced onions, the dried flakes, just because I hate peeling onions. And then parsley flakes. I use real butter. Tastes better, and it's just my preference. And Velveeta has these little mini blocks. It makes it easier, and I'll end up using a couple of those. And I'll spray the bottom of my pot just a little bit with the Pam, so the potatoes don't stick when I cook it. And I think that's pretty much it that I use. And I don't measure any of this, and it's because sometimes I may make soup just for me. Sometimes I may make soup that will be for me for 2 or 3 days, or I'll make a whole pot of soup and take to work and share, or I'll make enough for my husband and I and one of my daughters, because the other one doesn't eat soup. So that's pretty much it on the ingredients and no measurements. But I don't use a vegetable peeler because it takes me forever to peel the potatoes, and I make sure I wash the potatoes off before I start peeling. And you don't have to peel all the skin off. I like a little bit of skin left on the potatoes, especially if it's in a cleaner area, a less spotted area, I should say. But it's your preference. So I'm going to peel all these potatoes, and after I peel them, I'm going to dice them up. Oops. And then I will be back. Okay, I've got all the potatoes except for this last one cut up, and they're just diced. You can dice them to whatever size you want. This is just my preference. I'm going to show you how I cut it. I just do a quick slice like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I know this isn't the way you're supposed to cut for safety reasons, but if you try to make them all perfect, you're going to spend forever trying to get these. That's it. Just toss it in here. And I put water in here to boil it, because I drain the water afterwards, and then I add my other ingredients. And I think today, instead of using sea salt, I'm going to use just regular salt, and I'm going to move my cutting board back so I don't catch it or melt it. I'm just going to salt to taste. And I most likely will not add any more salt, so I'm going to take a break here and wait for the potatoes to boil. When they're done, I'll come back and show you what all I do next, okay? Okay, potatoes are done boiling, and if you are not familiar with cooking, the way you can tell that they're done is you can put a fork through them and it just slides right through. You can feel the little bit of resistance when it's going in. So that's done. I had them on high, but I went ahead and turned this down to about 7.5, so it's medium high. And I'm going to drain the potatoes. Shake the excess off a little bit. Put this in here. And I'm going to add the chicken broth first. And I use the less sodium chicken broth because my daughter is a cardiac patient and I try to use less sodium for her. Not that she would eat this, but it's just nice to do that for her heart. It's about half a box or so. Maybe not quite. And I may be using a little more of this. So right now you can see it doesn't quite, it comes right to the top. It doesn't cover it. It just is about even with it. So I'm going to get my little rubber spatula, and I've opened up the cream of chicken soup and just going to plop that in there, and the cream of mushroom soup as well. And then I'm going to use my whisk. And if you're using a pot that has, it's a solid surface pot like this is a cast iron enamel coated pot, be sure you use an oven mitt or hot pad, because you don't want to get third-degree burns on your hand. So I just whisk this in like this, and I do that to see how much liquid I have or don't have, and it's kind of thick. So now this is where I'm going to add more of the chicken broth, and I may end up adding the whole thing. Because I did use a few more potatoes than I normally would. There's still a little bit left. I'll just go ahead and use the whole thing. Because when you put it in the refrigerator overnight, it's going to thicken up. I made some one time that was the perfect consistency. Put it in the refrigerator overnight. The next day, took it to work, and it was like gravy. I mean, it was crazy how thick it had gotten overnight. Okay, so now I'm going to add my black pepper. You don't have to add black pepper if you don't like it. When I cook at holidays and my stepfather eats with us, I have to go easy on the black pepper because it flares his acid reflux up and he thinks he's dying. So, and you can put as little, as much as you want. I like a lot of black pepper. My mom says that when I get done eating, it looks like I've got dirt on my plate. Now with the garlic powder, same thing, as much or as little as you want. And if you'll bring the camera over here, you can see about how it's coated. Now I'm going to do the minced onions, and it's the same way. It's to taste. It's your preference. And because this is a big pot, you can see about how much I put in. Not a whole lot, just enough to put a little layer on there. Parsley to me doesn't really have much of a taste. I like it for the color. So give it lots of color. Just be careful when you eat that you don't have parsley stuck in between your teeth, because that's a little embarrassing. So then I'm going to put my bacon pieces, and with this big of a pot, I'll put the whole package. And there's a little Stay Fresh pack in there, and you never know where it's going to be at. This one's in the bottom, but to keep it from splattering everywhere, I just pour it out into my hand and drop them in. And see, there's the Stay Put, or the Stay Fresh. Just discard that. And I'm not going to add any more salt because the chicken broth has salt in it, a little bit of sodium, and we salted the potatoes. And I use unsalted butter. So I'm going to use, and I did wash this knife before I used it again after peeling the potatoes. This ends up being about 3 tablespoons of butter, and butter gives it a little bit of a richness. And then these little mini blocks are pretty good. I like these. I'll use 2 of these. And these open up pretty easy. There's a little pull tab here. You just pull it like that. Grab the sides. And when I do this, please be careful. Use a cutting board if you're not experienced. But I've been cooking since I was in elementary school. I just cube this up, kind of like you would for a rotel dip. And if you want to try your hands at cutting it like that, my advice is to go slow, and then you can feel it. So then pop it open like that. So you can feel it. You don't want to go all the way through. And you can even use a butter knife for this. I just don't like to dirty up more dishes than I have to, because my daughter complains about having to clean the kitchen. Okay, so we got all of our ingredients in there. Another paper towel. And I'm just going to whisk this. Oh, and I forgot one more last ingredient. You can see it's kind of thick and creamy, but we need milk. And I know this is a weird jug. It came from Sam's. And like I said before, with this, I don't measure. That's just part of my southern learning, I guess, because both of my grandmothers are from South Alabama, and they rarely ever measured anything. They knew the recipe, and that's how they, they were cooking by memory. I think the only thing they measured were things to bake cakes with. So I just whisk this periodically. I'm going to let it come to a boil, and when it comes to a boil, then I'm going to turn the heat down to medium, and it shouldn't take long. So I'll see you back here when it starts to boil. Okay, we're back, and it's boiling. It's a low roll. I've stirred it a few times, and you need to make sure that you do stir this periodically, especially if you're not using a non-stick pot, because it will stick and it will burn. And I do speak from experience. So it's pretty much ready. You can let it thicken up a little bit more if you want. You can add more cheese if you want. I'd rather add it to my bowl. And my favorite to add to my bowl is the Kraft triple cheddar with a touch of Philadelphia cream cheese. This is my favorite. I could eat this out of the package, and sometimes I do for a snack. And if you don't have to add everything on here, because this is more of a loaded potato soup, like the bacon. But to me, the bacon and cheese, just that little bit of cheese, makes a difference in the taste. But it's pretty much done. So I'm done with the whisk, and it's about the consistency that I want. It'll thicken up just a little bit over time because I'm fixing to turn the heat down. I'm going to turn it to about 4, which is a medium low. And I'll fix me a bowl of it. And add my cheese to it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my bowl. And I like mine hot. I like all my food scorching hot. I don't like to eat cold food. My family, on the other hand, likes it lukewarm. But why bother? Why bother cooking it if you're not going to eat it while it's hot? So there's my bowl. And then I just sprinkle a little bit of cheese on it, as much or as little as you want. That's about how I like mine. And that's it. There's your bowl of soup. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoy potato soup, because I do. My grandma used to make it. It was the go-to feel better soup when you were sick. Of course, I've doctored it up. I've added bacon and garlic and parsley and cream of mushroom, cream of chicken. And a side note, I have a friend who has a mushroom allergy. So if you have a mushroom allergy, don't use the cream of mushroom soup, or if you're going to make it for someone who does. So you can just do 2 cream of chickens if you like, whatever your preference is. So I'm not sure if they have a cream of potato, and if they do, I'm not sure what it would taste like. Don't know. I'm kind of afraid to try it. So this is it. Really easy. Doesn't take long. I think it took me a little over an hour from peeling the potatoes to it being done. So it's real simple. My main ingredients for anything I use: salt, pepper, and garlic, and parsley, and onion. That's just part of being raised in the South. I'm actually from Northwest Florida, in the Panhandle. We call this place Lower Alabama. My family, both sides, are from Alabama, so my southern roots come out in a lot of my cooking. And I've been told I sound like a country girl. So, but this is it. I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, email me, and I'll respond. And if you have any requests, if you want something special, I'll see if I can cook it too. Thanks.